Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. 12 rounds for the vacant WBC lightweight title. We have yet to see Shakur Stevenson in a close fight. Maybe De Santos can give him a better challenge than those that have came before him. Let's get into it. Let's start with Shakur Stevenson. 20 wins, no losses, 10 wins by way of knockout. Shakur Stevenson hasn't fought anybody. That is a statement I heard the other day, right? This is always interesting to me because it kind of reminds me of like when Roy Jones said, and y'all must have forgot, I just make him look like nobody. I remember that song. That song was fire. I still listen to that song right now when I'm working out. I got a funny track story about that didn't work out in my favor during my time in Alabama. Maybe I'll tell that a little bit later. But that's been the thing with Shakur Stevenson, right? People have been saying he hasn't fought anybody. Joet Gonzalez was supposed to give him that challenge. And Shakur controlled the range of that fight, kept everything behind the jab, countered when needed, and pushed the pace when needed, frustrated Gonzalez all night. Shakur knows how to keep the separation. He knows how to make his opponents kind of fall short with their punches, and then he counters you, jabs you to the head, jabs you to the body. Passed the test of Joet Gonzalez. Jeremiah Nakatila was supposed to be the next test, the guy who could punch, the guy who could hit, and he took him apart even worse than he did against Joet Gonzalez. Jamel Herring was the next test. Jamel was coming off a win against Carl Frampton. He was on a 6-fight win streak. Momentum was strong. It was going good for him, right? But then the fight started, and I don't think I'd seen Shakur Stevenson that locked in before, right? That fight, Shakur was the aggressor. He controlled the range as he normally does, but the accuracy and the placement in his punches, man, it was outstanding that night. It was one of the most complete fights that I've seen of Shakur Stevenson at that time. He was doing whatever he wanted in that fight, and whenever he wanted to it. Jamel Herring was trying. Right? Like Jamel Herring is a warrior. That's a guy that if you're going to beat him, you're going to have to take him out on his shield, so to speak. The man was giving everything that he could. But when you're a guy who is trying to hit another guy that doesn't usually get hit, it can be discouraging. You can hit Shakur, but you can't. We haven't seen it been done consistently enough. But there were times throughout that fight when he was fighting Jamel, when Jamel was using his size and tying up and making it kind of rough on the inside, he was able to land some shots. But then the next round, the rounds after that, we saw Shakur was the one who would reset, and he was the guy to make the adjustments, and he was the guy that was fighting on the inside and roughing up the bigger guy, landing the bigger shots and getting the upper hand of Jamel Herring. He was just too much on that night. After that, he goes to fight Oscar Valdez, right? Valdez, man, to that point, I believe was undefeated, right? He was a big puncher. Right, we saw he had a knockout of the year candidate against Miguel Burchell. Like, we know what Oscar Valdez could do, and he got outboxed for 12 rounds. We know the power that Valdez possesses, but when you can't hit your opponent, doesn't matter how big of a puncher that you are. If you can't connect your shots, it really doesn't matter what power you got in your hands, because Shakur is able to hit and not get hit, and Shakur completely took him out of his element. You can't just bully your way into beating Shakur Stevenson. You have to get ready to box and outthink a thinker. In an interview that I saw of Shakur not too long ago after he fought Valdez, man, he said, man, Valdez actually hurt me to the body, right? And then the bell rang and I was able to recover. But man, he actually hurt me to the body, but I played it off. Maybe if Valdez saw that, maybe he would have been able to really push the pressure a little bit more and go towards the body. But Shakur is just such a disciplined fighter that he's hard to deter. Like, he's hard to get discouraged, because he sticks to his game plan and he does not care what you think of how he's fighting. He is there to win. And man, he's so skillful in what he does. Robson Conceição was next, and I felt like he could have stopped Conceição if he would have been more aggressive and was really going for it. I didn't give Conceição many rounds, man. I felt like stylistically, it was just not the best matchup for him. He's a boxer like Shakur, and Shakur is just much sharper on all fronts. In his most recent fight, he fought Shichiro Yoshino, and I thought Shakur was going to outbox him for 12 rounds. But after the first round, I said, man, Yoshino is lunging a whole lot. I wonder if he's going to pay for that. Shortly after that, Shakur made him pay. Not only did he make him pay, but he pushed the pace and he took risks, and he was sharp that night, sharp like a knife that night, sharp like a skater's blade that night. Everything that he wanted to do and where he wanted the shots to go, it went there. Man, he was ducking and weaving shots and countering, and Yoshino had nothing for him. Shakur was doing work, from the body shots to the headshots to the accuracy. Man, from a sharpness standpoint, not going to say that was his best fight, but from a sharpness standpoint, that was probably the sharpest that I've seen him, right? Yoshino got dropped a couple times before he ultimately got stopped. But man, it is going to take a more calculated effort to beat Shakur Stevenson, and not just calculated effort, but high execution. He doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, but when he does make those mistakes, you have to make it count and make it work in your favor. And that is what De Los Santos is going to try to do and figure out. So let's talk about him. Let's talk about De Los Santos. 16 wins, 1 loss, 14 wins by way of knockout. De Los Santos is confident, right? He's skilled, he's talented, and he's going to take risks. And that's one thing he's going to have to do, but he's going to have to do it right. He's going to come to fight. He's always going to bring his best. He's going to do what needs to be done in order to win by any means. He lost a split decision against William Foster, right? Split decision means it could have went either way depending on what you were seeing, right? Foster was an undefeated fighter at that time and is still undefeated, if my memory serves me correctly. I would have loved to seen a rematch, man. I thought it was a very good fight, a close fight, and I think De Los Santos has improved since that fight, so it would have been great to see the rematch of that fight. You know, there was also a lot of questions about De Los Santos' conditioning in that fight as well, too, but he's improved since then. Now we move forward to when he fought Jose Valenzuela. That was an all action-packed fight. Valenzuela came out with a bulletproof vest. So you know what type of time he was on. You know what he was trying to say. He's like, hey, I'm coming to fight. I'm coming about war. I'm about business. I'm coming to let the hands go. Are you ready for that? And sure enough, when the bell rang, that's exactly what happened. He came out swinging. Both men came out swinging. De Los Santos was clipping him and carving him up like it was a Thanksgiving turkey. Valenzuela was overcommitting, dropped his hands, and he paid for it and almost got dropped in the first round. The second round started, and it was the same until it wasn't. De Los Santos was the one who was coming in a little lazily with his defense and his reaction, and he got caught with a shot that wobbled him, and Valenzuela capitalized on it, and he got dropped. And I'm like, okay, now we're about to see what happens. Now we've seen the drama, right? Now let's see how this unfolds. Can Valenzuela capitalize off this momentum? A few moments after that, in the same round, De Los Santos gets to him, lands a counter hook, and stops Valenzuela right in his track, and he hit the canvas. Talk about shot for shot, blow for blow early in the fight. I was like, man, I wasn't expecting this type of excitement, especially this early. The next rounds came in, and De Los Santos, man, he was just on one. He was landing some big, punishing, flush, clean shots that you could hear. And the shot landed, connected on Valenzuela's chin, it was over with. It was a very interesting turn of events, but I didn't know, I'm not going to say I didn't know, I didn't believe that De Los Santos was that big of a puncher. I didn't think he had pop like that. I knew he had a little steam, but the shots that he was landing, man, it was vicious, right? Like that power that he possesses, that's something that Shakur is going to have to watch out for. In his most recent fight, he fought Joseph Adorno, and man, De Los Santos was extremely sharp that night, right? He looked quick. The counter punches looked strong and snappy. It was calculated. He was accurate. He controlled the range very well in that fight. He did a very good job of controlling the ring. He was a lot more composed and disciplined with the game plan. I was very impressed because he was consistent from the start to the finish, and his defense was very good as well. He's going to need that same level of execution and performance, and then some, against a guy like Shakur Stevenson. So who wins? Man, Shakur cannot overlook Edwin De Los Santos. I know Shakur is confident And, you know, he's definitely feeling good, man. And he should. He's got the skills to back it up. But you cannot overlook this guy because De Los Santos is very good, very talented, slick, fast, good power in his punches, and can make it tough for Shakur Stevenson because sometimes when your opponent is not as technically sound, man, they come in a little different package, and that kind of awkwardness and style makes it tough for you to figure out. Not to mention De Los Santos is operating at a high level. He is quick. He is sharp. He is athletic, and he's going to take some risks, and he's going to need to because Shakur is a guy that you cannot fight a safe fight against and expect to beat him. Shakur has been on a roll in his recent fights and have been winning consistently, not even close. So De Los Santos has to execute properly and at the right time because Shakur doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, but when he does, one shot can change how this fight goes. So he is definitely going to need to make sure he capitalizes off that. But man, it's just tough for me to see Shakur losing right now, man. He just does so many things very well. And he's a guy who is always going to be fundamentally and technically sound. His technique is the same from round 1 to however long the fight is. And he does not make a whole lot of mistakes, man. Hit and not get hit. He is the best at doing that right now, in my opinion. I have Shakur Stevenson winning this fight by decision. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, enjoying the content, getting something from the videos, then I hope that you consider becoming a member. We got 2 different options. If you would like support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Another way you can support is by liking, comment, sharing, engaging in the community, and showing love to the video when you can. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch the videos. I don't take your eyes, your ears for granted. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.